All right, YouTube, what's happening? It's your boy Cdub, and I'm here with Reggie. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Man, I'm trying to live the dream. Trying to live the dream.
Oh, absolutely.
But for you guys that don't know, we met through both doing Kayla's interview for success in intermittent fasting. So we were gonna, do a little backstory on that. And so I wanted to know, how did you get started fasting?
It could be a long answer. I'm not so sure, but I've always done some type of intermittent fasting without even knowing I was doing it because, the word was pegged, intermittent fasting probably in the recent years. And so in my younger days, I'll say my 20s, I was doing it. I was skipping breakfast. So I was really eating 2 meals a day. So I call that too mad. I heard that terminology thrown out there. And I had always been doing that, but I was doing the wrong things. I was eating the wrong type of food, eating a lot of junk food. And then I was taking diet pills, which was a bad thing. So don't do it. Don't do it out there. And so I was just doing everything bad about making smarter, healthier food choices. And then I came into these later years in life in the world of caregiving for a parent. I just knew that I did not want to go the same route as my parents in living an unhealthy lifestyle, which caused these ailments to occur and why they needed caregiving. So I did not want to put that burden on someone else in my older days. So I said, I got to make a change ASAP. I came across a channel on YouTube, which was the snake diet. And that's when I really got into fasting and got real serious because being a military girl, I liked hearing, get in there, get that fat in you, all that stuff that was being screamed at you on the snake diet channel. Now, I don't really listen that much now, but that just kicked me in the rear to just wake up and stop making excuses for not doing the right thing and not making the right choices. So that's what started it. So that's been over a year now. And that I've been a hardcore, serious OMAD or intermittent fasting type of person. So it's just fasting lifestyle, and that's what it is. And so meeting a community like you guys that you and I have met here online about fasting and weight loss, I think your story is much more incredible than mine. And I bet it is. So why don't you tell me, how did you get into fasting?
To answer your question, my fasting started out differently. I definitely know who the snake diet guy is. Cole, I think, is his name. But I've only watched 2 or 3 of his videos. He's definitely intense. And I can appreciate that because I come from a wrestling background, and, we're grinders. We're in there every day, just battling, fighting for position, fighting for the littlest, teeniest little detail. And I think that I can relate a little bit to that whole, suck it up, buttercup kind of mentality that he has. But ultimately what happened for me is I was just hanging out in school suspension watching the Joe Rogan podcast because I had no students one day. And it was, I guess, March of last year. And all of a sudden they started talking about time-restricted eating. And immediately I was like, huh? And she just basically talked about how we're marketed to believe in 3 meals a day, and it's really not accurate science. And the conspiracy bells started going off, and I don't know how you feel about it, but conspiracies are something that I've always enjoyed and I've always, kind of been into. So the minute I started hearing about that stuff, I did a quick Google, and the next thing you know, I was on YouTube, and of course that's a rabbit hole. And so I watched videos for a couple of weeks, and then I really started my, fasting journey. And the most amazing part of that is I don't think I realized how sick I was until I started losing weight, until the weight started coming off of me, and then I started feeling better. I don't know how you feel.
Oh, definitely. I would agree. Inflammation, I was having a lot of gut issues. So I was literally, once I became stressed in my job or something, I would literally have stomach issues where I'm like bent over, I have to lay down, or I have to sit down and just sit there for like 20 minutes before it'll pass. And did not know what that was about until I went to see the doctor and did all these tests. But at the same time, the doctor even said to me, you need to change whatever you're doing that's of a stress related environment. He said, you need to get out of it. And that was my wake up call, really. So I get it, because it's about disease. The dis-ease in your life, right, is disease. And so I just refuse to go that direction. I really do. And so that's when I had to really get on top of it. And again, during that time of going back and forth to doctors trying to figure out what's wrong with me, that's when I came across Cole on his channel.
You know, you mentioned something pretty interesting there, talking about how you didn't want to grow up and have the same issues that your mom had. And I totally sympathize with that. One, I know you're a caregiver and you take some extra time with your mom and you help her every day, and she's somebody that depends completely on you. And I don't have that fully. My mom she's 73 and she, does work and she still moves around and she's doing okay, but she does live with us now. We got a mother-in-law suite out here in Williamsburg, Virginia, and we moved her in. And when we did that, of course, at some point I started fasting, and my mom was also obese. And, I think that kind of probably had something to do with my obesity, and her parents probably had something to do with hers. It's kind of one of those things that I think can be passed down from generations, your habits, And so I started this fasting journey. She started to do a little bit of a 16-8 herself, and eventually got down. I think she's probably in that 16-8, maybe it's 18-6 now, but she was going to the doctor, and she had a fatty liver, and she's completely reversed her fatty liver. And I think that's a testament to intermittent fasting there as well. So it's not just for us young, middle-aged or young, however you want to look at that. It truly can be helpful for everybody. And to see my mom under 200 pounds for the first time that I can ever remember my entire lifetime is a pretty neat thing. So I don't know, what your thoughts are there, but intermittent fasting definitely does some amazing things.
Speaking to the choir here, my mom is 76 and she had her stroke at 55. Okay. So I'm 5 years away from that age. That's why I said, no bueno. Enough is enough. We got to break the cycle of things that we were doing that weren't good for yourself, smoking or, eating fat. But, I understand the keto diet. It's just that for me, it's really a low carb diet of what I eat. I eat fat, but not so much to the extreme of the keto, even though there'd be times that I might have a keto meal, but I can never really say that, I eat keto on a daily basis or anything like that. But mom, she had a different diet and a lot of stress, and the smoking, all that really comes into play when you're looking at heart disease and stroke. So
absolutely.
We can't afford it these days, because I think that this time and day and age is that we are working double time. I think we work more than our parents did. They may have worked long hours, but I think we have to get a lot more done in a shorter period of time because we're in the age of information. Mm-hmm. So coming at us 100 miles an hour, from every different direction. And we're learning so much in a short time period. Basically we have to keep up with the rest of the world and the economy. So it's high stress because it's not sustainable with human beings to keep up with AI, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes us twice as more stressed and working twice as hard and working longer hours, always being accessible because we have a smartphone and we have a computer,
It's a little bit funny that you would mention AI, because I think that is the direction that our society is moving towards. And the more artificial intelligence we bring into the mix, the more likely that, our pace is going to slow down physically. So I think that if you take into consideration the young person of today, it's the first time in the history of the world that I know of. Look, there's one right there, little guy. It's the first time in the history of the world that I know of that their life expectancy, some people say, and it's not in all studies, but I've seen it before, that some people say that their life expectancy will be shorter than ours. And I'm 40 years old. So to think that, and I know you're a little older than that, although you look younger than me, which is a little bit strange there, but, my wife even says, wow, she looks like she's 25. I mean, it's incredible how good you look. So, the youth of today are going to have issues making it to 50. So I think that we've got to be able to rectify, here comes another one, our diet and the amount that we eat, so that we can get a little bit more on even playing field, let's say, with what we're doing physically. And that is not an easy thing for us to come to grips with in society today. And also our time is so much more freed up when we're eating in this lifestyle. It gives us an opportunity to have a breakfast period of time and a lunch period of time that we did not have before. And so, and the cleanup to go with that. So you're talking about at least 30 minutes to an hour twice a day that we didn't have. So that's at least an hour to 2 hours of free time. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I was able to replace that with exercise, and it's been amazing. And so I think that, our time is just so much better on OMAD. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that's amazing to me in itself. Like, you're right. It does free up a little more time, maybe a good 20-25% of the time it takes us to go to eat, buy something, or sit down with clients or people at work, or whatever the case. That's a couple hours out of your day before you settle down and actually doing your regular work. And then also, what I love about fasting, which I think is just fabulous, is more money is in the bank account. I noticed that I have more money every month because I'm not going out eating lunch all the time. And so I think I eat lunch maybe once a week just because I'm taking a client out or something like that.
You mentioned money, and that's really important, because I think I definitely saved money. A couple of 2 meals a day, and if you think about it, my wife is down to the warrior diet, so she's barely eating a very small meal and then a regular meal. So really, we're saving 4 meals a day in my family. So that definitely makes a huge impact. But I think one of the things you mentioned in our collaboration that I wanted to touch on today was the spirituality of it. And I've never been the most religious of people. Excuse me. I've been to church only a handful of times in my life. But since I started fasting, I definitely noticed that I'm more connected to the universe, that I feel more a part of things. I feel more present in my everyday, not just in my, thoughts, but just in my total being. And I don't know if that sounds strange to you, but I was wondering if you could touch on what it's done spiritually for you.
No, and I agree with you on the spiritual sense. And one thing I can say about, there's religion and then there's spirituality. So I really consider myself a spiritual person. Meaning I have a better connection, not a better, but a connection with God, a relationship with God. But religious, I always think of people that go to church and they have a specific way of how they, connect with God, if you will. So I'm just not that person, but I believe in reading the Bible. So I guess church can be anywhere. So, but when it comes down to the spiritual aspect, I found that I become more depressed when I stop speaking with God on a regular basis. And so when I was eating the wrong way, doing the wrong things, when it came down to my body, I also became disconnected from a spiritual way with God, because then I'm busy being distracted and worrying about what I'm going to eat all day, because that's what I was doing. I was constantly having food on my mind 24 hours a day. And that's just a form of distraction that keeps you from the connection to, like you would use the word, to the universe or to God, because that's really what you're describing. And so going out in nature, you get the time to meditate, and which is another way of saying it's praying. Maybe people will disagree with me, but there's someone out there that is listening to you, and they're way bigger and better than we'll ever be. So that's what I say about it. You know, you can hear better, you can sense better, you can feel better, you know, just connecting in that fashion, because you have eliminated those distractions with food and the digestion and constant padding, if you will, of internally that is blocking you from hearing what's out there spiritually.
Yeah, totally. I think it's definitely something you mentioned too on there, like thinking about food all the time. You know, you said something that struck a chord with me there, and that's that, you know, all you could think about was food. And the opposite happens after you start fasting, and I'm sure you've experienced that too. Like with me, I get into my daily OMAD, I'm not even thinking about food. Food never even really crosses my train of thought. So I just kind of go about my day-to-day activity, and I'm not too worried about it. And I might call my wife in the morning or something from work, or send her an email and say, what's for dinner? And then she says such and such is for dinner, or I was thinking this, or can you pick up that, or cook this, you know, however it works out. And I'm like, you know what, sure. And then I'm not thinking about it again until it's time to eat. Now when it's time to eat, I'm ready to eat. You got to believe me on that one. But ultimately speaking, it's not something that dominates my thoughts on any level anymore. And that includes if I'm out in public and I smell it, or you know, I see a TV commercial. It just doesn't have an effect on me, which is crazy to think. It's a beautiful place to be, because for the first time ever, I have power, I have control. And I think that's huge, to have power over food.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. The flexibility is so great. And I'm so much more thankful. I have more gratitude for the way we live our lifestyle now, because before, maybe doing it, dipping, dabbing in it over the years, you just didn't get the whole picture and the biggest benefits that you get out of it by the longevity. Once you get deeper into what we're doing, you start seeing so many other ways that it's so flexible to help you in the rest of your life, if you will.
Absolutely. Well, that's good stuff. I'm so happy that we were able to connect today, and I just wanted to thank you for coming on my channel again, for spending a few minutes and talking to the, you know, viewers and the subscribers. And I wanted to just thoroughly just say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm so glad that we've been able to connect and we're building a friendship. I'm so glad that you're a part of this fasting community, and that our relationship is going to continue to grow, because, you know, not only am I learning from you, and not only I'm sure you've learned something from me, but I think it gives us a chance to reach more people and to spread a bigger message. So if you guys haven't been over to her channel yet, please head over to her channel. It's Regedited, and it is an amazing channel. She's got some seriously good content, and give her a subscription there, guys. Throw a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I don't know what you're thinking. Go down there and subscribe, guys. Leave a comment. You know, let us know. Do you like these collaborations? Do you like it when her and I talk? Because I know I love having you, and I appreciate everything you do. I just wanted to say one more time, thank you so much, Reggie, for joining us tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right with you. And thank you so much for having me on your channel, as well as you on mine. You know, everyone says you just a wealth of information, and which I love that, because, you know, just connecting with our community, you know, the fasting community, I think we're pretty tightly knit. And you and I, it's been such a pleasure to connect in this way, that we actually can show it in video format, one day at a time. And again, my friend, I appreciate your time, and look forward to doing more of these and having some good chats with you.
And guys, don't forget to subscribe to both of our channels if you haven't already.
Please do. We look forward to it. We appreciate you guys joining our channel.
We do. All right, guys, leave us some comments, and we'll see you on the next one.
Absolutely.
Right.
Till next
Peace.
time. Bye.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And please take a look at Taking Down Fat with Cdub's channel, as well as my channel, Regedited. And we look so forward to seeing you around the channels. Thanks again, guys.